I in my previous life had worked at various companies in sales primarily, and got laid off at Lucent Technologies, which along with about 100,000 other people. And I think Carol and we sat down and discussed, where we wanted to go next. And I told her I always wanted to own my own business and thought I would be good at it, and started doing some research into up and coming trends in the market, and came across the idea of home care, and then started looking at home care companies. Contacted a few of those, and ended up talking to Alan Hager. Alan Hager, and I don't know how much you want to just keep going, but.
And I told him he was crazy and lost his mind.
She told me I was crazy and lost my mind, but anyway, we thought I had a really good feeling about Right at Home, and had a really good feeling about Alan Hager at the time, and. I saw it as an up-and-coming business, a business that people would do very good in, and just for us too.
We did care for our parents, and I worked in a hospital, so we did have an idea of what the whole home health care industry kind of stood for, but also how difficult it was to navigate the whole system. So between Steve's sales and marketing and a little bit of my medical background, that kind of helped solidify it.
Actually, they got me with a steak, so I was in. An Omaha steak, so I was in.
Well, just like Steve, my last tenure was at Lucent Technologies. We were put on corporate welfare. That's how I'd call it right now. Our biggest customer got belly up, and the entire group. I worked at a huge company, Lucent Technologies, but in a small group out of Natick, Massachusetts, and we've been told that the product is killed, but we have to keep going to work every day for the next year, and keeping our salaries, keeping our offices, and that's what I did for the entire year. So I had a lot of time on my hand to think what I'm gonna do next, and I have to confess, I didn't send a single resume. I immediately started looking for something else to do with my life and in my life, and to leave corporate world. And after further search, came around Right at Home. Again, met Alan, ate steak, just like Steve ate steak. I ate medium rare, by the way, and that sold me on Right at Home. That's my story in short.
When I got out of college, I was in college as a CPA major, accounting, and I was asked to try out a job on Wall Street as I was trying to find a job as an accountant, and I got hooked on Wall Street, and I was there for about 9 years. Wall Street was sort of being taken over by technology, and I sort of saw that may not be the best of jobs going down the future, and my family was always in the retail food business, so we decided, along with my wife, to open up a retail food business about 9 years out of being a stockbroker. Not knowing or not listening to my own father how hard the retail food business was, and we eventually sold that business because it was 7 days a week, 12, 13 hours a day. And while we were selling it, we were looking at other businesses, and we were really interested in the staffing type of industry and looking at business staffing. And when we were looking at that, we then uncovered home care staffing or home care industry, which we really had no idea of it. And we vetted a number of different companies, and we spoke to a number of them, and speaking to Right at Home really felt like the right fit. When we met them and we flew to Omaha to meet them, we were for sure that we knew that Alan, Brian, with the small office they were in, that they weren't looking to spend our money on lavish things, and it was really, they were looking out for the best interest of the company and to build the right type of company. We really felt in our minds that this was the right place to be in. That's how we decided at that time that we were going to go in and buy it, and we bought 2 territories. We now own 3, and probably the best thing that we've done business-wise out of the 3 industries we worked in.
Prior to our retail food business, I was a medical assistant for 14 years, took care of many clients, had the love of the hospital atmosphere, going in, seeing them every day, smiling, even when they were sick, and working for the 5 years that we did in our retail food business, having 3 children and working 12 to 13 hours a day, 7 days a week, is not why we had our children. We wanted to raise them. So we decided to sell and move into a business that I can continue to help people, because that's what I love to do. And I think it was a great choice. So yes, we did go to Omaha. We had steak dinner with Alan. And 12 years later, we are still helping other clients.
Well, prior to me joining Right at Home and buying the franchise, Jackie and I was the corporate vice president of human resources for the Sara Lee Corporation. And like my colleagues here, we got corporate welfare or got downsized, whatever you want to call it. We lost our jobs, okay? And but one of the things I did that got me interested in Right at Home was that the company at the time was interested in providing services to employees. I had to do a study of the employees moving into this big grand building that they had planned, and found out that the employees wanted elder care services, which I really knew nothing about as an industry. But having my own grandmom who had Alzheimer's in the rural part of North Carolina where we're located, I knew the struggles that families were going through. And so when my job ended, we researched and we found Right at Home and did the Discovery Day. I wanted the New Jersey territory that Nick and Darlene had. I called and they said, oh, the territory is available. I called back and they said, oh, no, it's gone. So we were in Winston-Salem, North Carolina as a result of that. But having the grandmom who had Alzheimer's and having the knowledge that the people and citizens of my area wanted elder care services, we researched and found Right at Home and did the Discovery Day, and felt that the company was trustworthy. We talked to Alan and Brian and the team, and it snowed on us, but when we were in Omaha, but that was okay. It was a trustworthy organization, and like Vlad, I didn't send out any resumes either. We purchased the franchise, and here we are some years later.
Well, I actually was in the hospitality management business for 12 years prior. If anyone knows anything about service and hospitality, when you do a good job, you're moved to a new location. So it was bouncing around and the family and moving, and I think 5 years prior to purchasing Right at Home, we were, North Carolina, Connecticut, Georgia, South Carolina. So it was a lot of bouncing around. And I just remember sitting there one day saying, this is not good. This is not my life. And I got online one night, and it's funny because I actually was looking for childcare and started searching the internet and looking for companies, and knew I didn't have a lot of experience in business, managing good, but not business itself. So I looked into franchising and was looking into childcare. I stumbled across something that said home care. And to be honest with you, I had no idea what home care was. So I started doing my research and talking to a lot of different companies, and sure, like a lot of you, looked at all the competitors and everything, and same thing as a lot of you said right now. I kind of found that Right at Home was that they weren't that large at the time, and they were really investing a lot of time and PR and research and development in trying to become something better than the big guys. And I think we all today can kind of look back and say that, that was correct. It played out that way, and we've all benefited from that. So I've been very, very pleased at the move I made into Right at Home.
Well, I think one of the attributes that would make an individual successful in this business is the entrepreneurial spirit. I think you have to have that stick to itness. And those of us who've been in corporate America now are in this business, I just think that you still have to have what we used to call the entrepreneurial kind of spirit, but it's entrepreneurial. So you have to go for it.
I just want to say there's no right or wrong answer. Steve and I have obviously two very different personalities, like that, for instance. And he's definitely much more business side of things. He's the risk taker. He thinks outside the box. So when he approached me, it was his idea. He's the entrepreneur. I'm the frugal one of 8 children. You don't live beyond your means. No risk taker. But Steve said at the time, I was a stay-at-home mom with 3 young children, taking care of my father after my mom passed away. And I was really nervous. I just said, pretty much he lost his mind when he decided he wanted to open his own business after working for a big company like Lucent. But he said, have I ever not provided for us? Have I ever fallen short? And the answer was no. So it was a big leap of faith for us. And knowing that he had the business savvy, but like Darlene, I had worked in the medical field. I worked in a hospital for many years, loved taking care of people. So when I was contemplating going back to work part-time, I thought I'd go back to a hospital, and that's when Steve said, I've got a better idea. You'll still be working with people. You'll still be taking care of them. You can have that compassionate element, but he would run the business side of things. So fast forward 13 years later, he works on one totally different plane on the business. I'm the heart, the feelings department, as he likes to say, and I work in the business. He was, but I'm the driving force. Behind every successful man, there's a great woman. Isn't that how it goes?
I think what I just heard is I have no feelings. So I think that's what I got out of that. Thank you, hon. Right, exactly. I just think to be in this type of environment, it's fun, but you got to be really flexible because it's a different kind of atmosphere than we all came from. We were probably more all of us from corporate America, whereas this is a different environment. You're dealing with personalities all day long. So I would say flexibility is the biggest, most important attribute, at least for myself.
And I think that going back to the feelings and the entrepreneurship, for myself, without a doubt, more of the entrepreneur. But I think what really drove me and us to the franchise type of model was we did start 2 other businesses before this one. And even though you have an entrepreneurial type of feeling and background, there's still a great feeling knowing that there's a system behind you to give you a lot of the answers, and you don't have to think of all of them on your own. And without a doubt, with this being our most successful out of the 3 businesses, the main reason is because we're getting a lot of great answers that we don't have to necessarily think about. And my wife, without a doubt, is more of the feeling part of our business. Not that I have no feelings for our clients, but she's more of that end of it. But I think what's great with a franchise is whether you do it with someone or without, they show you how you could find the other pieces that you're not. So you don't have to have every piece to be successful. It's fortunate that I have my wife and she's one piece and I'm the other. But you know, there's a lot of successful owners that are only one piece and find the piece that they're not.
I think a big part of it too is, and like anything else, I mean, you really have to take the fear out of it. I mean, a lot of us talk about, we're in kind of bad spots in corporate America and things happen, and I think a lot of that happens to a lot of people. And you've got to step past that. You've got to really jump off that cliff and take that fear out of it and be willing to do it. And, I think that's why a lot of us have become very successful, because we did do that.
I have my own theory. I came from the country where the word business could have only one connotation, negative, that Soviet Union. And, I came here and I went to the corporate America world type environment, and eventually decided to quit. But now, many years later, I have my own theory, and I'm thinking everybody is entrepreneur, just not everybody knows about it. And it just sometimes get developed and flourished, and there is some individuals should have some kind of a push to get their qualities, entrepreneurial qualities, displayed at their best. That's kind of my theory on it. As far as qualities pertaining to specifically Right at Home and what I would recommend, I think, what you guys said is all true, but I think one has to be calm, patient, and stubborn in a good way, and success will come. That's just my feeling.